Danger alone is not citizenship, and temporary protection is not a permanent veto over deportation. Stephen Miller just said something that's causing absolute outrage. He said Haitians live in Haiti and argued that high crime isn't a legal basis for asylum. The left says that's heartless. Miller says it's simply the law. So who's right? Today, we're going to separate emotion from immigration law and answer a question almost nobody in the media is asking. Does a dangerous country automatically give someone the legal right to stay in the United States? By the end of this video, you'll understand the difference between asylum, temporary protected status, TPS, and why recent court rulings could fundamentally change how America handles immigration. My name is Kelly Jackson. This is Still Not Canceled, and let's just jump right in.
For Haitians, absolutely.
For Haitians.
Yes.
Yes,
yes, Haitians live in Haiti. It's not our position that Haitians should leave Haiti. I mean, it'd be crazy for us to say that Haitians couldn't live in Haiti. It's their country. Of course Haitians should live in Haiti. There's no viable asylum, or use a technical term here, CAT claim or withholding claim for any Haitian seeking relief from going back to Haiti, to their homeland. The fact that there might be pockets of Haiti where there's higher crime rates, guess what? There's pockets of Chicago with crime rates just as high, right? There's pockets of cities like St. Louis with crime just as high. Pockets of Los Angeles with crime just as high. It has never been the case that having communities that have high crime rates is a basis for asylum. Never has been, never will be. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Just in, Stephen Miller shoots down the notion President Trump can't deport Haitians because Haiti is dangerous. The statute enacted does say that, people can seek asylum in America if their country, like say they're having a civil war or something, then they can seek asylum in the United States. But those were enacted during actual emergencies. Those emergencies concluded a really long time ago, like, for example, the earthquake in Haiti. That was something that was enacted right after, I think the earthquake was like 10 years ago. So that was one of the reasons that they said Haitians could seek asylum in the United States was, and remember, Barack Obama was president. So that's why they did that. Stephen Miller just made a point about Haiti that a lot of people are going to call harsh. But the truth is, legally, he is right. The argument being made by the left is basically this. Haiti is dangerous, therefore Haitians cannot be deported back to Haiti. But that is not how asylum law works. The issue is not whether Haiti has crime. The issue is not whether Haiti has poverty. The issue is not whether Haiti has political instability, gangs, or government corruption. The legal question is much narrower. Does this person qualify for asylum under the law Congress actually wrote? And asylum has specific requirements. It is not a general hardship program. It is not a poverty relief program. It is not a universal escape hatch for every person living in a country with high crime. To qualify for asylum, a person generally has to show a credible fear of persecution based on specific protected things like race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. That is very different from saying my country is unsafe. And this is where Miller's Chicago comparison lands, and it lands very securely. There are pockets of Chicago with very high crime. We all know this. We've seen the videos on YouTube and X. We've seen the rioting. We've seen the fires. We've seen the Summer of Love from BLM. There are parts of Memphis, as somebody who is a Tennessee native, I can tell you there are parts of Memphis. 30% of our violent crime occurs in Tennessee, down in what is Shelby County, which is where Memphis is. Baltimore, New Orleans, and even Nashville, another Tennessee city, Davidson County. I live in Williamson County, so the vast majority of the crime that occurs in my county of Williamson, as an adjacent county to Davidson, where Nashville is, the crime that happens in my county happens because people come in from Davidson County and commit the crime. Crime is a serious problem in those cities, but nobody would argue that every person living in those communities has a legal right to flee to Canada or Mexico or Europe and demand permanent residence because their neighborhood is dangerous. Crime is a public safety problem. Asylum is a legal status. Those are not the same thing. And this is the broader problem with how the left talks about immigration. They collapse every category into the same emotional argument. Asylum, temporary protected status, refugee status, parole, green cards, deportation delays, court backlogs. Everything becomes one giant humanitarian claim. But those categories exist for a reason. Temporary protected status is supposed to be, get this, temporary. Asylum is supposed to be individualized. In other words, on a case-by-case basis. Legal immigration is supposed to follow the law. And deportation is supposed to happen when someone no longer has lawful status or was never lawfully entitled to remain here in the first place. Once we erase those distinctions, temporary protection becomes permanent residence by delay. Asylum becomes a backdoor immigration system, and deportation becomes almost impossible because every country has some problem that can be used as an excuse. This is not immigration law. That is open borders by bureaucracy. Now, none of this means that we should be indifferent to suffering. Haiti has real problems. The people of Haiti have endured corruption, violence, disaster, and instability. But compassion does not require America to abandon the rule of law. The United States cannot become the emergency shelter for every failed state, every dangerous region, and every unstable government on earth. Our government's first duty, and we've talked about this on this channel in the last few days about our government's first duty, is to protect the rights, safety, resources, and sovereignty of American citizens. I've talked about the difference between a person and a citizen. That does not mean that non-citizens have no value. It just means that they do not have an unlimited claim on the American political community. And this brings us back to the bigger constitutional issue, one that's being discussed quite a bit in the last week or so, considering the Supreme Court rulings that have been handed down in the last week. This brings us back to a bigger constitutional issue. A person has natural rights. A citizen has membership. Remember, I said the other day on my other video, membership has its privileges. Membership has its privileges. An immigrant has a legal status. Those three things are not interchangeable. If someone is here temporarily, that does not automatically mean they have the right to stay permanently. Permanent residence is not really permanent. It's conditional because they are here as a guest based on the premises that they presented when they asked for inclusion into our population. So if someone is here temporarily, then of course it automatically does not mean they have the right to stay. If someone receives temporary protection, that does not mean Congress secretly granted them citizenship. And if a country is dangerous, that does not automatically mean everyone from that country has a legal right to remain in the United States forever. So when Stephen Miller says Haitians live in Haiti, he is making a blunt point. Nationality does not disappear because conditions in your country are difficult. If high crime alone becomes the standard for asylum or protection from deportation, then there is no limiting principle left. And once there is no limiting principle, immigration law becomes whatever a judge, activist group, or bureaucracy, as we have seen, says it is on any given day. That is exactly why these recent immigration rulings matter. Not preferred policy outcomes, not activist interpretations. The law. And under the law, hardship alone is not asylum. Danger alone is not citizenship. And temporary protection is not a permanent veto over deportation. That is the distinction that the media does not want to explain. Why? Because they want us confused so that they can manipulate us emotionally into believing that we should not build a wall, but extend our table. Because we hear that one all the time. My name is Kelly Jackson. This is still not canceled. I hope that that provided some value to you to help explain the differences between somebody who is a citizen a person who may be here legally and what rights they possibly are afforded, and the differences between the two. Yes, they are a person, but they are not a citizen. And there is a distinction between the two. And it's something that we need to be fervently protecting as Americans so that we aren't overcome like they are in the UK with a foreign presence. We need to be utilizing the laws enacted by Congress that enable us to enforce the immigration laws that we do have. And we need probably a larger federal police force. I hate to say that because as a Republican, it sort of makes my blood curdle. But we need a bigger enforcement mechanism so that we can actually start deporting some of these people, like the Supreme Court just told us, and other courts have just told us that we can this last week. If you haven't become a part of the community, I really would encourage you to. I post videos like this with regularity, and I would love for you to be able to catch those when they are posted. Please put a comment in the comment boxes, smack the like button and the subscribe, and I will be back again very soon. Thanks so much, and I will see you again later. Bye-bye.